Hi guys, thanks for being here. I just wanted to put a refreshing spin on the concept of loving yourself, because I think sometimes the idea of loving yourself seems like this really grandiose thing where you're walking through the streets skipping and smelling all the flowers, and you don't have any negative thoughts in your head about yourself ever, and you constantly decorate yourself in jewels and dresses and heels, and and as much as sometimes that is how we express our love for ourselves, in adorning ourselves in beautiful clothing and having makeup and nails and our hair done in our favourite way, and that's a very real way that we can feel love for ourselves. I think for me, what loving myself looks like, more than that, more reliably than that, is staying even when life doesn't feel like that, and not neglecting myself and turning away from myself even when life doesn't feel like that. I think, just even when I don't feel like I'm the most beautiful person, or even when I don't feel strong, even when I feel sensitive, even when I feel needy, even when I feel unattractive, even when I feel ill or achy or tired or drained or overwhelmed, still not turning away from myself. That's how I really see loving myself, more as a refusal to turn away from me exactly as I am on that day, in that moment. I think that's a much more sustainable and achievable thing in like the short term for somebody, to, instead of being like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get fully dressed up from head to toe every day and put on my most extravagant clothes and hum and sing with the birds every morning. Like I said, that sometimes is how I feel. Sometimes I do feel like I'm on cloud nine, but then other times that just isn't how I feel at all, and all I want to wear is trackies, for the same trackies for a week. And I don't even want to take them off to wash them, so I don't, because it's just like, I just feel like that's what I need. I just need the same things that I can count on, and I just want to hide away. And so, yeah, for me, loving myself sometimes looks like posting a photo on Instagram because I feel really nice and I want to capture that. Sometimes loving myself means cooking myself a meal that makes me feel good rather than a meal that makes me feel tired. Sometimes loving myself means allowing myself to just cry and cry and cry. Sometimes loving myself looks like not getting out of bed that day and being kind to myself regardless. Sometimes loving myself looks like cleaning my space really slowly. It might take a whole day to clean my room, but doing bit by bit, cleaning it, even though it might look the same or similar when it's done, knowing that I've put that time in for myself because I deserve it and you deserve it. Loving myself is sticking to the things I say I'm going to do for the most part. Obviously, there's exceptions. Sometimes we should be a little bit looser and let ourselves have that time where we can tell when we really can't do something, I think. And those days we just say, okay, cool, I'll do it later or tomorrow. But if we say we're going to work out a few days a week, do it firstly for ourselves, not for someone else. But secondly, even if you can only show up and do a 5 or 10 minute workout, do that rather than nothing, because you said you were going to. And if your legs are sore one day, do your arms. And you know what I mean? There's always something that you can do. If you're privileged enough to have a body that is able to move, then we should be moving it and we should be keeping it active. Sometimes loving myself is pretending that I'm 4 years old again and asking what 4-year-old me needs in this moment, what she wants, what she's crying for, what would make her feel seen and loved and supported. Sometimes loving myself is running myself a bath. Sometimes loving myself feels like having thoughts where I'm not being very nice to myself in those thoughts and catching myself and reframing them as soon as I can. Sometimes loving myself is listening to Jump Up and blasting it in my headphones as I go for a walk or dance. And sometimes loving myself is when I have a free house just having a scream. Sometimes loving myself is eating chocolate if I feel like it, even though usually it makes me feel not great, but sometimes that is what it looks like, because little Maisie wanted some chocolate. Sometimes loving myself is getting another teddy. Like, that makes me feel better. Self-love is something that is not one size fits all. Not everyone wants to prance around the streets looking like the main character of a film. Sometimes I really love doing that, and I actually do that quite often because I feel when I'm having a really good day and the sun is out, that's just what naturally happens. I just feel so amazing. And then a lot of the time I don't. And loving myself looks like being really slow and kind to myself. It looks like allowing me to play with paint and pencils. It looks like reading a children's book because it takes less brain power. Yeah, sometimes it's playing dress up and going to the charity shop or whatever shop and trying on clothes and buying some if they make me feel good. I just wanted to make this to encourage you to kind of reframe what self-love has to look like. It doesn't have to be this, it should never be performative. If it doesn't feel natural or right to you, in terms of, it's not about putting on a show. Loving yourself isn't to prove anything to anyone. It's not to show off that you're doing so much better now. It's not to, show anyone anything. Loving yourself is private, and sometimes just you love yourself so much that it spills out and other people get to witness that love, but it should never be for their own benefit, because authenticity is important. And sometimes in the early days of reframing things, it can feel performative to yourself because you're so not used to having that narrative and that's those sorts of thoughts in your head of like, oh, I don't like how I look today. Oh, let me just reframe that. This is how I look today, and my body is much more than something to be gawped at. My body is here to allow me to navigate the world, to feel things and experience things, and I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do that with this body. It's about removing yourself from situations sometimes and looking at them more objectively. Something I do with my therapist is fact or opinion. And it's when something comes up in your head, you say, is this a fact? Like, can I literally prove this is a fact? Bearing in mind, even saying that, facts are only facts until they're disproved, but you know what I mean, let's not overcomplicate it. So is this a fact, like something objective, like, I don't know, bloody hell, I can't think of anything on the top of my head. Like, my nails are pink. Okay, that's a fact. Something that would be opinion is, I look awful today. That's not fact, that's an opinion because you can't prove it. And when you're in a really negative mood, you can say, yeah, I can just look in the mirror. You can't prove it. To someone else, you look beautiful. And so it's opinion. And sometimes doing that, even though it doesn't always just eradicate the thoughts, it can allow yourself to get a little bit more distance from them and look at them in a more objective way, where emotion is no longer running rampant and leading the way. And that's been kind of helpful. Yeah, I think sometimes self-love is really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, because the subconscious wants us to be safe, and as much as that's a beautiful thing, it is a beautiful thing, you know, but safety doesn't allow us to grow, and we want those that we love to grow. We wouldn't want our best friend or our boyfriend or our mum or our brother to just stay the same forever, and we know that they're not really happy and they just stay the same and stay the same. We wouldn't want that. We would encourage them to take small steps out of their comfort zone in order to keep experiencing life to the fullest in ways that are sustainable, nothing too crazy unless it feels right. But yeah, we would want that for them. So sometimes self-love is actually being a little bit firm with yourself and being like, I know you don't want to do this right now, but you are safe and we're going to push ourselves a little bit today. And that's what I did today with filming. The last couple videos I've filmed is being like, really all I want to do is lie in bed, but lying in bed's making me feel awful. It's not like when you lie in bed and you're like, oh, this is really nice, this is what I need. It wasn't that. It was lying there and I didn't want to be lying there. So I pushed myself gently in a way that I'm still in my safe space, but I'm doing something that I want to do and that makes me feel good. And because of that, it's actually helping me, because it feels like I have a purpose, and we don't have to be creating anything to have a purpose. I just want to put that out there. You don't have to be creating anything. You're inherently worthy. It's just who you are. Just by being born, you're already worthy, you're already enough, you're already everything you need to be. But for me, working towards something and putting something out there into the world that can reach people that might need it makes me feel really good. So in turn, it serves everyone, you know? And that's an amazing thing, and that can look different for everyone. Sometimes that's doodling a cute little character on a piece of paper and posting it online, or showing it to a friend, or hiding it in someone's lunchbox, or putting it around town in a crack on a street and so someone could find it. Like, there's all different ways we can give back, and we can use our own gifts and talents in a way that serves us and also serves others. I think that's the highest form of living, is to find what truly, truly lights us up. And that's obviously a journey, and that's so loving to do for ourselves, but then to give that to others feels good for us and it feels good for them. And yeah, I think when we get to that place of loving ourselves, we can finally see others with kinder eyes too, even when they mess up or they make mistakes or they're imperfect, because we all are. I think that's wonderful. When we learn to see ourselves with kinder eyes, we in turn learn to see everything and everyone with kinder eyes too. For everything is a reflection, and what we look for, we find. So when we look for flaws in ourselves, we will find them. When we look for the good things in ourselves, as much as that is often for a lot of people less programmed into us, we will find them. And it's the same for others, and it's the same for situations. So I would say a challenge for anyone who's made it this far would be today, instead of looking for, or tomorrow, depending on when you watch this, when instead of looking for the bad things and expecting the bad things to happen, how would it feel if you instead expected good things to happen and looked for the good things? And maybe you could take down some notes of all the good things you've noticed in the day. And does the word note come from the word noticed? Probably not. I need to look into that. But yeah, see how that changes the world around you, because I think you'll be quite surprised that the perspective we have really does shape our entire existence, and will always create the world that we live in. I'll see you soon.